So, I just finished watching the new Victoria's Secret fashion show, and I have some thoughts. I am excited to share my reaction. I am also going to go over some reactions from people on TikTok because apparently there was a little bit of controversy over this year's show. What is new? Is Victoria's Secret? So, first things first, I really liked the show, and I'm going to dive into more detail as far as what I liked about it and also my opinions on the controversy. But I was super excited to watch the show as someone who is a millennial and grew up with the Angels, as someone who was in the modeling business for a short time myself, and as someone who used to be very overweight and lost 100 pounds, which for those of you who are new here, welcome back to my channel. My name is Whitney Holcomb. I'm author of the book 1 Year 100 Pounds. My book is about my weight loss journey, how I lost 100 pounds on my own at 14 years old and totally transformed my life, became a model, blah, blah, blah. It is a great book for beginners who are new to weight loss and are looking for something to both inspire and motivate them. I am a tough love weight loss coach, so I am not body positive, okay? Well, I'm not body positive in the way that it is now, in that it's all about fat acceptance and it's okay to be obese. It is not. It is okay not to be perfect, but it is not okay to be obese. Anyhow, I also have my guided weight loss journals, which are the same exact journaling method I used to lose 100 pounds, still use today. If you want to check that out, I will leave the links below, both to my book and my guided weight loss journals in the description below. But let's just get right back into my reaction. So, like I said, I'm a millennial, I'm 34. So I grew up with the Victoria's Secret fashion shows. I mean, in high school, it was like such a big deal. Like my friends would get together and we would have like watch parties. And then after the show, we would like practice our runway walk. Like everyone wanted to be a Victoria's Secret angel back then. It was just so exciting. Like it was the most popular store in the malls. I remember, we don't even go to malls anymore, but I remember going to the malls and it during Christmas time, especially, it was always so packed and there was just kind of excitement about it, and it was always so glamorous. The pictures of the models on the walls. Oh my God. The marketing was to die for. I mean, the women were just so stunningly beautiful. I mean, like a lot of women have said, like, it is or was like the Super Bowl for women. Okay. Like it was just this total girlhood of fantasy. And I absolutely loved it. And look, I know that there was so much controversy about it even then, especially now in more modern times. And, I can't deny that at one point for sure, maybe they did get a little bit too crazy, at least with the level of perfection, especially when like editing got really, really good. And they were literally like these already perfect looking models. They were editing out like any such flaw, okay? Like any tiny thing to the point where it was just not even realistic for the actual model herself. It was just unnecessary. And so I do agree with that aspect of the controversy. I think even today, right, we have all these filters now on TikTok and now we have AI stuff. Yeah, I think that can be a problem because that is literally unattainable. Okay. And a lot of people want to say, well, just the Victoria's Secret models themselves, they're unattainable. I'm going to get into that a little bit later. But for sure, when you have professional editing where you're, the perfect lighting, lots of makeup, and then you edit out every single little flaw, yeah, that's unattainable because it's not real. It's not even what the real model looks like. Anyhow, I'm going off on tangents. This is basically going to be a tangent today, okay? At least till I get to the reactions. So if you don't like this, then I don't know. It's not for you, but it's just me basically just spilling all my thoughts on this topic. It's just something that I feel like I know well and have unique perspectives on because of my past, right? As someone who definitely has never had a perfect body, someone who was also in the modeling industry. Yeah, again, I still say that I love the OG Victoria's Secret. Me personally, like, I don't feel that it ever really made me feel bad about myself. I mean, honestly, look, I'm not gonna lie. It's like I didn't compare myself to them. I think that I don't know any woman who wouldn't. But if anything, I always felt like they were more aspirational. So that I actually think I felt almost better about myself after watching them because I would go be like, oh my gosh, I'm motivated now. I'm going to go to the gym and work out, which in turn would make me feel better about myself and my body. But yeah, I mean, I know that there are so many different ways to look at it. And I'm not even so against all the new changes that Victoria's Secret has made, but we'll kind of get more into that. But first things first. So for those of you who haven't watched it, they brought back a lot of the old angels. They had Candace Swanepoel, Adriana Lima, think Bahati Prinsloo was there. They even had Arena Shake. She was never, she was never a Victoria's Secret angel at the time. I don't think so, right? Back in the 2000s, she was a popular model, but she was never Victoria's Secret. They had Bella Hadid. I don't know if I already said that. who looked phenomenal. She really did. But there was also some controversy about her. Some people were saying that she like looked like she lacked energy and like there was something wrong with her. And then there's speculation on the Lyme disease. And then it's like the speculation, does she really have Lyme disease or is it something else? I don't know. But she did look really good. The OG models for sure. Like I thought they looked incredible in every which way. Their bodies were awesome. I mean, they're and a little older now. They're like in their 40s, which is not old by any means, but it's older for the modeling industry. But they looked really good. You can even tell that they had like a little bit of extra weight. I'm not body shaming. Do not say that I'm body shaming. I just mean compared to when they were in their 20s, but of course they're not in their 20s anymore. But what I was going to say is I think they almost look even better because they look like they're just more fit now. Like they probably have more like, muscle mass. 'Cause they probably work out more, probably because, I mean, not that they didn't work out before, especially Adriana Lima. Cause I know, cause I did her Victoria's Secret workout program and that was interesting. Maybe I'll talk about that in a little bit too, but they looked super toned and like really healthy. I've always thought that the Victoria's Secret models looked pretty healthy. Look, I am not saying that there were not some models that maybe did unhealthy things or were maybe too skinny, but I always thought like the OG like angels always looked really healthy. I mean, yes, they're very thin. Yes, they work very hard. Yes, they went on really extreme like diets and workout programs for the show, but I don't see how that's any different than like an athlete prepping for a competition. I just don't, or like a fitness competitor. I think anyone who knew they were going to be on live TV in front of, thousands, millions of people watching in lingerie would probably work harder than they ever had before to look that good. So yeah, I don't think that, again, I don't think they ever looked too skinny. I think as a Victoria's Secret model, they actually did not want girls who looked like runway skinny, okay? Because they had to have more shape. They were supposed to be sexy, right? They had to have a little bit more curve. So yeah, I don't know. The rhetoric, again, they say this around all models, but especially the Victoria's Secret models, always trying to say that, oh, they were just, can't say the word, but you know what I mean? Like they were under eating too much and it was not healthy. Again, I can't speak for every Victoria's Secret model. But I think again, I did Adriana Lima's workout and program. And yeah, was it tough? Yeah. Was it like, toxic? I mean, I don't think so. She's just doing it for the show. It's not like she does it like year round, which is something I think is, important to point out is like, yes, their bodies look phenomenal, but I think it is important to note, okay, that they look this good for this specific day. Okay, not to say that they don't look good year round. They do, for sure. They're supermodels, okay? They look amazing and you can. I don't think that it is unattainable to not look good year round. You can, but specifically for the show, yeah, they worked harder than they ever had before. So, yes, I mean, should we compare our normal everyday bodies to theirs? No, because even their normal everyday body does not look like that. But I think it just goes to show it's like aspirational, right? It kind of shows us, okay, what we could do if we worked really hard. And no, I know that not everyone will look the same, even if we work as hard as them, of course. But I guarantee you, anyone who works out really hard, eats really healthy, will look good. Okay, that's just the bottom line. You will. But yeah, I don't think that there was, ever anything toxic about the way they look. They worked for it. It was discipline. And I know so many people, it's funny, I did like a short about this and I did another video about like how supermodels don't binge and how it's just that, they deal with their stress in other ways. Like overeating is just not how they do it. They can't because they're supermodels, right? And again, so many people in the comments, joking or not, like it's just, I do think that it is a really common like trope or rhetoric that, oh, all models, like they just can stay thin because, they have EDs or they, do have substance abuse. And like for sure, yeah, I mean, some of that goes on. But my point was that, like, look, to look that good, okay, again, we're not just talking about skinny. Okay, skinny runway models is one thing, right? We're talking about like they had to look fit, they had to work out. You can't do all that when you are constantly abusing substances, when you are constantly like under eating too much. Like you have to have some kind of muscle tone and to look that good. You know what I mean? And their bodies, I guarantee you, for the most part, for most of them, are the result of just being very disciplined, working out, eating healthy, not drinking, going to sleep, not abusing substances. Because yeah, you just don't look that good, especially with your skin, your hair. You don't look that good if you're living the crazy lifestyle. You just don't. And so I think that is something that I don't know. It just needs to die. I think that people just need to understand, like, yes, you may never look like a supermodel, but you can look really good if you want to. But it does take work. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say there. As far as the outfits and the aesthetics of the show, I thought it looked really good. I thought it, it's not quite on par with how it used to be, obviously. It was an improvement from last year, for sure. There was a little more energy than from last year. There was more stuff going on. A few of the performers are pretty good. Madison Beer, I thought was really good. I don't really know much about her. I've heard the name, never really heard her songs, but after she performed, I was like, okay, like I like her stuff. Of course, she's beautiful. She fit the very like glam, girly aesthetic really well. So I liked that. The other performers were good. Yeah, I mean, the whole vibe of the show, I thought it did feel like more of a return to the OG Victoria's Secret. So I liked that. I will say though, again, it's definitely not how it used to be. And I think one of the biggest reasons is the energy was just not there. Not from the models themselves, not from the crowd. It wasn't. It just felt a little bit, I don't know, it just felt a little bit off, or maybe a lot off. It was just not the same, right? Like I remember, the OG shows, like Adriana Lena would come out and she was like a rock star and she'd get the crowd all riled up, and all the other models were just, they were in their prime, and it was just that this was their Super Bowl. You know what I mean? And this time around, I kind of got the feeling that, like it was just whatever for them, even from the OG Angels. And I get it. I mean, this is not their first time around, and they're probably just doing it for a paycheck. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, people are talking about Bella Hadid, how she had no energy, and I don't know. I didn't really notice that so much. I think that isn't that kind of always her thing. I don't think she's really known for being like an Adriana Lima, who's like super like pumped up all the time. People said that it looked like she was struggling to walk. They're blaming her because she's too skinny. I don't know. I mean, I think that I think she looked good, but people are saying it's because she has Lyme disease. But then also people are saying that it's not really that she has Lyme disease. They think that she has either like an ED or is like substance abuse or something. And that is, she uses the Lyme disease as an excuse to go to the hospital a lot. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, when I looked up Lyme disease, like apparently like long-term Lyme disease, some reports were saying that like it doesn't really exist, or it's just very rare. So I don't know. I don't know anything about Lyme disease. I know it's like an autoimmune thing. Maybe for some people it's true, but it's just interesting because she's not the only celebrity that claims to have this long-term Lyme disease or whatever. Is it just like a front for something else? Like, are they really going to rehab? I don't know. I don't know. So this no idea. Again, I don't know. I thought she did fine. I thought she looked good. The other issue, or I guess the controversy, right, is which they had last year, was the curvier models. Ashley Graham was there, and they had some other curvier models that were walking the show. Like I said last year, I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with plus size models as long as they fit the Victoria's Secret aesthetic. And I think that the models they chose did. And I think that the issue I had with their previous like marketing in the past few years, like it's not even so much the models themselves, okay? And that's not the fact that they chose like curvier models or models who had disabilities or whatever. It was literally the whole like aesthetic. It was like they took these models and like they did something that was not Victoria's Secret. Like they basically put no makeup on them, and they put them in weird lighting and weird poses that were not sexy. Like it was just very, that was what I think, or that is why I think the brand died or is dying, is not necessarily because, oh, people are just, they're racist and they're sexist and they're fat phobic. No, it's just like you can take, okay, more diverse models, okay, who are bigger, who maybe have disabilities, whatever, but put them in the same aesthetic as the models. Give them the blowout, give them, the push up bra, give them the makeup. It's like they took all that away, and it's like, of course, like even like an OG model, you take all that away from her, she's not going to look as good or like the brand as they used to, because you almost just kind of essentially like made them look ugly. So anyway, I think that last year and this year they did a good job at picking girls that to show more diversity, but were actually on par with what a Victoria's Secret angel should look like. Because again, like I've always said, okay, people like to say I'm not body positive or I'm mean or whatever. No, I've always said you can be fat and beautiful. Okay, you can be that at the same time. Being fat's not healthy, but you can still be beautiful. And I think someone like Ashley Graham, she personifies that. She's a freaking supermodel, right? It's like, it's not that I think we're so against bigger models or whatever, but it's like I feel like, and like I said in the last video about this, like it's almost like the fashion industry themselves, just cannot fathom the fact that bigger women can be beautiful. You know what I mean? And so when they're like, oh, we need a plus size model. Oh, well, here's a girl who's plus size. She'll work. Right. Because they can't even like fathom that, like, they can't, even if you have like an Ashley Graham or another beautiful big girl, they just won't even see it because they don't see them as beautiful. You know what I mean? Because again, this is all, it's always, they're always token girls. Okay. This whole body positivity, inclusivity thing, a lot of it has just been is commercialism. It's just been for money because it was popular. They never cared about these girls or about being inclusive. They just did it because they had to. So I kind of felt like even like Victoria's Secret and other brands, oh, they're just choosing any girl, any big girl off the street, and that'll work. And people will think, that's what the people want. No, I think people still wanted models, but they just wanted them to be bigger. They wanted them to have more diversity. They just wanted something different, but they still wanted them to be models. Anyway, okay. I told you it's just going to be a rant, okay? But yeah, I again, models were gorgeous. Ashley Graham, beautiful, gorgeous. She had a great walk. The other issue, people pointed out were all the influencers and nepo babies in the show. So, like half the time I don't know who these influencers or nepo babies are. Which is interesting because I could tell though that they were not the real models though, however, when they walked out. And I'm not saying that it's because I just think, oh, they didn't look like models. They were ugly. No, they were no one on that stage was ugly by any means. But look, there's a difference between a professional model, especially a supermodel, and just like your average cute influencer or whatever. Yeah, there was a lot of controversy from that. That doesn't bother me so much, like having the more diverse models, having the influencers and stuff. It doesn't like it doesn't incite like a vitriolic response from me. You know what I mean? I guess maybe because I'm just not, I don't care so much about the Victoria's Secret fashion show as much as I used to. And it's not surprising because I just feel like that is where the entire entertainment industry is going anyway. Okay. It is not so much about talent or actual real beauty. It is more about followers and money, right? And they know that these Instagram people, okay, these influencers, these athletes, they have followers and they are kind of, what is popular right now online. So of course they're going to put them in, right? So, and that's been going on for a while. So it wasn't surprising to see that. But I will say, like, look, if I'm honest, I think that this is maybe part of what is cheapening their brand. Not so much just the diversity of, different body types or whatever, but the fact that, and this goes across the whole board. I think in movies too, in any kind of entertainment, when, you see all of a sudden in some movie and it's a big part or it's a big, like, fashion campaign, and it's someone who really just doesn't look like they should be there. You know what I mean? And again, not saying these girls are not beautiful and don't deserve to be considered beautiful, but I think that there is a difference between a supermodel and, your average, really hot influencer. There just is. Okay. I think that there is a difference between someone who really had to work for their acting career and really studied it and had to, do it for years versus some, actor's daughter who took some acting classes and now has a lead starring role in a movie. I think that it just kind of cheapens the brand, it cheapens the movie. You're not as excited about it. And I think because, like I said, like you can tell they're just not on par with the true talent. I mean, there are some, I think, influencers and nepo babies who can hold their own and do have the talent, like Bella Hadid. I think is a really good model. Both Bella and Gigi, again, their mother was a model, right? So it makes sense, it's in their genetics and they do work really hard. They've also really had a lot of surgery, well, at least Bella. Okay, Bella's definitely had a lot of surgery, but she looks good. Okay, I that is something else I wanted to point out too, is you definitely noticed more surgery on these models. Well, maybe it wasn't the models, maybe it was more the influencers. Well, some of the older models I think definitely have had some surgery, but I get it, they're older now. But that is something that, again, just someone who coming from the 2000s and the OG models, and when I was, in the modeling industry, like there wasn't a lot of this plastic surgery stuff. Like you kind of wouldn't be taken seriously if you had plastic surgery. You know what I mean? You kind of had to be naturally beautiful. And I think that was the ideal. For sure, I think a lot of the models on that show, like the real models, they were naturally beautiful. I didn't see as much surgery on them. But I don't know, like even like the Madison Beer. don't come for me. I'm not being a hater. She looked gorgeous. Don't get me wrong, but you can tell she's had work done. You can always tell. And so I just, I don't know. For me personally, and I just don't know that I love the look of surgery. I just don't. I'm not, some people look really great with it. Don't get me wrong. I know there are so many different types of aesthetics. I think it's just not mine. And again, not saying that I don't think that Madison Beer or some of these other influencers or models who've done the lip injections or whatever are not beautiful, for sure. For sure, Bella Hadid, whoever did her stuff, like, she looks good. It looks more natural. Uh, but yeah, it's just not my, I don't know, it's not my favorite look. And again, I think it is something that kind of cheapens the brand, because before, these were supposed to be like, to be a Victoria's Secret model, to be on that stage, you had to be a supermodel. Like, you had to really work for that. Like, you didn't just get that casting. You know what I mean? Like, you had to be like top tier. Okay. And they were. And back then it was, they were more natural. I mean, for sure, some of them might have had, subtle things done. I don't know. For sure, maybe like boobs. A lot of them had their boobs done. They're working for a lingerie brand. I get it. But yeah, I think originally, to be a model, you had to be more natural. You had to have the face and the height, and it was exclusive. And I don't know. I mean, I guess there's a lot of talk. Well, maybe it shouldn't be exclusive. It should be more diverse. I mean, like I said, I don't mind having diverse models. I don't, but I think that goes to my other point. It's like, does necessarily everything have to be diverse? You know what I mean? I'm not talking about race, but not diversity as far as like, you had to be really beautiful no matter what race you were, right? And no, there wasn't a lot of body diversity because, yeah, I mean, to be top tier, they had to be like 5'10" and in really great shape. But I think that was what kind of made the show feel really exclusive. Again, it was kind of like I said, it was the Super Bowl for girls, right? It was all the top models in the world were on that stage, and there are lots of models, right? Lots of beautiful models, lots of beautiful women, lots of beautiful actresses and whatever. But they weren't on that show because they just, didn't fit that standard. And yeah, I mean, I think a lot of us found it aspirational. I think it is, I don't know, it is fun to look at beautiful women. Okay. Guys like doing it, women like doing it more, actually. They have like actually proven this. Like, women like looking at other beautiful women. So yeah, I think now that they include more diverse body types and the influencers, it doesn't make it feel as exclusive. Again, is that, good or bad? I don't know. In this day and age, I don't really care so much, but just from the standpoint of, was it necessary? Like, I don't care whether Victoria's Secret chooses to go all diverse in everything, right? Or if they didn't, or if they just stayed the same. I wouldn't care either, right? Like, me as a consumer, like, I personally wouldn't buy from Victoria's Secret now anyway. And it was funny, I was just talking to some of you in the comments, and yeah, some of you were like, yeah, I don't, the quality's not good anymore. Like, yeah, I get it. I have not shopped there in years, so it doesn't really affect me either way. I think in general, when it comes to like a company or a business, if they can do whatever they want to do. It is my job as a consumer. Like, okay, if they do something I don't like, for whatever reason, if I got really upset they hired some kind of model I didn't like, I just won't shop there. You know what I mean? Or I'll just think, okay, it's not for me. Like, there's a lot of different clothing brands and businesses and styles that, like, it's not for me, right? It's not marketed towards someone like me, right? And that's fine. I don't get all like up in arms about it. Like, I don't care. Like, they can do whatever they want to do. I will go shop at brands that I do feel like do represent me more. You know what I mean? So it's interesting, like, because there's so much like discourse online right now. And then you also see the pushback, or girls are like, oh my God, like, these people are just really, showing their true selves. Like, why do you care if there's more diverse models up there? Like, why do you want it to be so toxic and exclusive? And it's like, look, I don't know, because they do, maybe. Like, I think that, you're complaining about these people complaining, but you are the ones who are complaining in the first place, right? About the Victoria's Secret. And it made you mad. It made you upset. It made you feel bad about your own body. So, I mean, I think we could have said the same to you. Like, just stop complaining. Like, why do you care? Like, why are you letting someone else dictate how you feel about your body, right? Again, you need to, real body positivity is accepting your body for what it is. I don't think that means you shouldn't want to change your body or beautify your body in any way, whether that's working out or changing your hair, doing makeup or whatever. But yeah, for sure, you have to accept that there is only so much you can do, right? You cannot ever look like exactly like another person. Okay. Yeah. If you're 5'2", you're never going to look like someone like a supermodel who's 5'10". but you can look really good at 5'2". You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I just don't, the idea that like really beautiful women or the Victoria's Secret angels were deemed as like toxic or like even they, claim they should not even have a platform or whatever just because they're making other girls feel bad. Like, I'm sorry. I feel like that's not their problem. Like, they are really gorgeous women for sure. Okay. Like, that doesn't mean that, you are not beautiful yourself. Maybe not as beautiful as them, because let's just be real, right? But again, like, you need to have more self-worth than that. You need to be actually body positive and just understand that like you don't need to look like them to be seen as worthy and beautiful. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it just kind of feels like really insecure that people do get so upset when there's a really beautiful woman and she is, being celebrated. Okay. Again, doesn't mean that we cannot celebrate other women who are not that standard. There are so many different celebrities and influencers, whoever, who are definitely considered beautiful and, gorgeous, but they could never be a Victoria's Secret model. Okay, that's just the reality because it was a very exclusive kind of look. It was an exclusive brand. But yeah, those were just my initial thoughts on the show. Like, overall, I thought it was really good. I think they did a good job at representing everyone. And if that's what they're going for, then yeah, I mean, they did a good job. It definitely inspired my hair and makeup today. Okay. I saw that and I was like, oh, I want to be glam. So yeah, again, it's inspiring. It's aspirational. That's why I like watching it. It doesn't make me feel bad. It just makes me want to be better, I guess. But I did see some TikTok, some discourse on the show. So I thought I would react to those. Okay. So for those of you who are listening, not watching, so that was Angel Reese, and she was I guess, the athlete who they had walking the show. And it said the attainable body in question. Because, yeah, I guess this was the thing. People were just upset, that influencers in general or people who are not models were walking the show. And they were saying things like, yeah, I don't want to see an attainable body up on the runway. I guess this was her response to it. She looked really good. Yeah, she looked really good. She had a great body. Again, she does not look like an OG Victoria's Secret model, but she did good. She held her own.
Angel Reese and white mediocrity. Let's talk about it. Last week, Angel Reese announced that she'd be walking in this week's Victoria's Secret's fashion show, which I thought was amazingly cool. But unfortunately, white women didn't react in the same way. In fact, they did what they do best. They trafficked in anti-blackness, they lost their fucking minds, and they demanded to speak to the manager. Which then got me thinking, what is it about Angel Reese, this spectacularly talented black woman, that pisses white women off? And then it reminded me that a person like Angel Reese, who has the whole world available to her, she holds a mirror to white women and their mediocrity, and that pisses white women off.
Okay. I'm just going to stop it there because I I hate this race war stuff. She's speaking like, oh, for all white women are just so insecure. I who, where, why? You know what I mean? Like, of course, I cannot speak for every white person who had an issue with Angel Reese being up there. But for the most part, I think that had nothing to do with this girl's race. Okay, because there were plenty of really beautiful black models on there, supermodels on the show, have always been, and they had nothing to say about that, right? I think the issue people had with Angel Reese, and not just Angel Reese, the other influencers who are on there, is the fact that they just aren't models, right? And again, like, you say this and it's like people automatically assume like, well, if you say that, so and so doesn't look like a model, you're saying they're ugly. No, I'm not. I'm not. Like, look, you can be beautiful but not be model standard. Again, that doesn't mean that you're not beautiful. It just means you don't fit model standards. And there are different things that go into that, right? Like height, body type, like it's your facial features, right? Again, there are so many beautiful women who could never be models. Kim Kardashian, known as one of the hottest women in the world, could never be a model. She does not have the body type, the face type. She just doesn't, okay? Marilyn Monroe, one of the most beautiful women in the world, celebrated even today, could not have been a model, not in like modern time models, okay? Sydney Sweeney, right? Someone else, people love to hate or whatever, but she's also very beautiful, but she could not be a model. Again, these women are still the hottest women to ever exist, right? But it doesn't mean that you can be a model. And I think that's all people were saying is when people were getting like upset about all these other influencers and, non-models being in the show is just that like they are not professionally trained models. They haven't been doing it for years. They don't know how to walk a catwalk and they just don't have the same standards. Again, Angel Reese, I mean, she looked really good. She definitely held her own and she is like 6 feet tall, right? Great body, everything. But is she a Victoria's Secret model? at least compared to the OG standards, I don't think so. And that's all it is. It doesn't have to be a racist thing.
So I don't like the whole inclusive modeling situation. Like, I don't like that shit at all. And I'm going to explain why, because I'm so tired of people coming on TikTok and pretending like we are supposed to just be on board with the idea. No. Number one, why use your common sense for a second? Would anybody want to see someone out of shape as fuck, average looking as fuck, and nothing special about them on a runway? That makes no sense. That is like going to a car show and demanding that your Kia Forte gets put on display. It's like no one wants to see that shit. Like, I see that shit every day. When you cut on TV for a runway, I want to see women. Everybody does, not just me. But we have people who speak out that are so. The people with common sense are drowned out by the people who are emotional. So I'm going to take it there. When I cut on the TV and I see Victoria's Secret, immediately my mind is imagining women so fucking beautiful that I cannot look away from the screen. We know nothing is more attention grabbing and captivating than a beautiful ass woman. We know this. Sex sells. So when I cut the TV on, I want to see Candace Swanepoel. I want to see Adriana Lima. I don't want to see your average Joe. I don't want to see you. Get off. Like, I can't. I'm going to start shaking. I do not want to see average Joe, my first grade teacher looking ass bitch, in lingerie on a runway next to fucking supermodels.
Okay, so I think she goes on a little bit longer. I mean, yeah, I think she has a point. Again, I don't have such a visceral reaction to non-models being on the runway. Again, I thought everyone looked really good. They also had the old G supermodels on there, so hey, I saw what I wanted to see. Look, I think that in general, I think she's right in that, yeah, women, people in general, they want to look up to something that is aspirational. I think when especially with the Victoria's Secret show, you are not looking for someone that you could see in your average grocery store, okay? I think that that is part of the fantasy. So, yeah, I get that. I think that they have even done studies like, as far like when it comes to just, fitness in general, like thinner people, like, okay, they did a study where they showed people pictures of really overweight people versus pictures of really fit people, and they were told to like look at these pictures and then tell us how you feel about yourself, like which one like affects your confidence. Anyway, long story short, they found that when people looked at really fit people, like really beautiful models, they actually felt better about themselves. So I think that's interesting, isn't it? And it goes to show like how I feel too when I watch the show. Like, I don't watch the show and see the perfection and then all of a sudden look at my own body and I'm like, oh, I'm so ugly, I'm so fat, like, oh, now I can't even turn the TV on anymore, I'm gonna go mope around. I mean, I feel like, oh my gosh, like I'm inspired. I'm inspired to go work out. I'm inspired to look like them. I'm inspired to do my hair and makeup. Look, maybe this is coming from a healthy understanding of like, yeah, like I know I'll never look like them, but I'm not trying to. I'm just trying to get to look as good as I can look. You know what I mean? And seeing other people, right? I think it's just like motivation. I think it's like when you look at any kind of like motivational person out there, like you want to see that someone has made it to the top. You want to see that someone has something that you want, right? Because it's motivational. It makes you feel like, hey, maybe I can do that too. And even if I fail and I don't get that, at least by trying, I'll get closer than I could have had before. Okay. Just not trying at all. When you look at people who are like not very fit, not very inspiring, maybe don't have a lot of money, they're just whatever. It's like, it doesn't inspire you to be greater. Right. So that's how I see it. Yeah, I agree with her in that aspect. I also don't care if they want to show, other models that are more average looking. Maybe for some people, for certain brands, that it feels more realistic. You know what I mean? And maybe that makes them feel better. So I think that's fine. I think we can have both. Even clips from the show. Yeah, she looked really good. Yeah, I guess this is when people were saying like she looked like no energy or like she was struggling. Maybe. Oh, of course it I also heard that those wings were like pounds or something. That has to do with it. I don't know. I think her energy matches pretty much the other models, in my opinion. Okay, and this says hot take. VS fashion show. I think VS has no backbone and has completely lost their brand. They go by whatever people complain about. Not enough inclusivity, then too much. Unwanted influencers. They tried to be cool with the fact and were humbled. Their branding just seems out of fear. Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that their branding is just not as good. I mean, definitely was worse a few years back. I think that they are trying too hard to cater to every single person's demand, and that never works. Um, I remember, like, going on the website back then and, like, getting the different, like, catalogs in the mail and looking at those pictures, and it was just so motivating, where I feel like now it just doesn't have, like, the same effect. Like, even you go on their website, like, and again, it's not like the models. I'm not trying to say it's the models that are not beautiful. They are, but I swear it's just the way they're styling them now. It's the way they're doing their makeup. Like, something's off. Like, it's not as, like, it's just not as beautiful or glamorous as it was before. Like, okay, like, we can just look at some here. I like these are pretty good. These look more like on brand. Yeah, like these look kind of like more OG. But like even like some of these, it's like they look like they don't have makeup on. And I don't know. I mean, even like this like campaign picture here. Is that Irina? She looks good. But yeah, you know what I mean? It looks like, okay, yeah, they look like just your average girls. It's just not as inspiring as it was before. And again, part of that is because they're trying to make them look like your average girls. See, like, it's not that these girls are not pretty, but like, just do their hair and makeup. Like, let's see, let's go to, is this the front? Well, this is all the stuff from the fashion show. Did you guys ever use the bombshell perfume? I remember I used to get all that Victoria's Secret stuff. I think that's definitely a young person's thing. Because I don't know that I would wear it now. I don't know. Some of their stuff is cute. Yeah, like even this. Like, this is a cute picture. Don't get me wrong, the girls are cute. They don't look like supermodels. Again, it could mostly be because the way they're styling it. Like, there's nothing like super sexy about this or aspirational. It's just cute, right? And that's fine. Maybe that's what they're going for, but again, I think what people are missing is that super glamorous, super sexy. Like, this was like the one brand, where we could do that, and like the girls like to aspire to that. Yeah, I don't know. That's just my opinion.
Hey, those Victoria's Secret model standards that everyone keeps saying we need to go back to because it exemplified what it means to be a VS angel, naturally beautiful and hardworking for the body that they achieved. What they were doing to achieve those bodies, it was not natural. You can look back at what all of these models have said over the years and hear that they were doing anything from drugs, excessive exercise, extreme dieting, even
Which model said they were doing drugs? I don't know. I don't remember ever hearing that they were. They might have. Which ones though? I know for sure they did a lot of diet and exercise. She goes excessive. Well, I don't know. Depends on what her, view of excessive is. But for sure, like I mentioned, yeah, they were working their ass off and just following Adriana Lima's Victoria's Secret like workout program. I'll link the video above if you guys want to watch that. But yeah, I mean, she worked out like 2 hours a day, had a very strict diet. I think like a week before she was just drinking like smoothies, like protein smoothies. So she wasn't even eating it solid food. For sure, it was intense. It was extreme. It's no different than stuff that professional athletes do, though. You know what I mean? And I think it is also, again, like I mentioned, this was what they were doing for this one day of the year. I think that is important to note, right? Is that they looked this good because they work exceptionally hard, did stuff that they do not do year round, right? They still look really good year round. Okay. I think that's, again, people want to say, oh my God, you can only look good if you do drugs or if you have an ED. That's just not the truth. Okay. But for sure for this show, yeah, I mean, they worked hard. It was a lot of discipline. Was it drugs? I don't think you can look that good if you are constantly doing drugs.
plastic surgery to look the way that they were looking. And what's funny about this is by this standard, many of the new
I think the other thing to mention too, she says plastic surgery. I don't, for sure, maybe some of them had their boobs done. I think a lot of them, because back then, like I said, like the plastic surgery was not a big thing. Like for models, they didn't want you to have plastic surgery. So no, I think they had minimal stuff done even back then. I could be totally wrong, but it was not as pervasive as it was back then.
models being brought on really exemplify the VS energy even more than the old models. Why? Because they are owning the body that they are naturally in and being confident within their skin. And any of them that are engaging in unnatural principles, well, they're just matching the energy of the old VS angels that you love, which shows that all the people saying we need to bring back the old angels because the new ones don't fit Victoria's Secret standard don't actually care about the standard in the way that they say they do. They care about the interpretation of the standard at the time when Victoria's Secret was at the peak they're speaking about, which was at the peak of racism, fat phobia, ageism, and lack of understanding that the biggest thing that contributes to body diversity is genetics. So now
Okay, for sure there was some toxic standards and toxic stuff going on back in the 2000s, for sure. I'm not going to deny that. Again, I don't know, she's going into racism. I don't know. I mean, there were some very prominent angels that were, not white. So Victoria's Secret always had models of every color. I mean, for sure, maybe most of them are white. I don't know. But and then again, this fat phobia, this like, oh, it's just this idea that being in shape in general is unattainable for everyone. Again, they want to blame it on genetics. Like, oh, well, they only look that way because of genetics. Genetics play a part for sure. Okay, yeah, not everyone's gonna be 5'10". Okay, not everyone is gonna carry fat distribution the same way. Everyone, has it. Some people have more athletic bodies. Some people, don't. For sure. But being fit and being beautiful, even by today's standards, is not as hard or unattainable as so many people want to believe. Okay, yeah, you're never gonna look perfect. You're never gonna look exactly like a Victoria's Secret model. But like I said, if you work out, if you eat healthy, look, you learn to do your hair and makeup, you can look a hell of a lot better. Okay? You could. So I just a lot of this is just so it just seems like a lot of coping, it just seems like a lot of like jealousy really.
now we see a variety of people of different races, of different body sizes that do meet the VS standard of being so beautiful that you don't see that person walking the street in the day to day.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that I do agree with her on that. I think that, like I said, even though they are, different body types, they are beautiful. At least the ones I saw in the show, Ashley Graham for sure. The other one, I don't know her name, but she's also really beautiful. Um, yeah, so for sure, I think that that would have ever been my issue is just like don't pick just some random girl just because she's bigger, she's a size 10 or 12 and not the size 2. Pick a girl who's a size 12, 14, whatever, who's also really beautiful. That's all. So yeah, I agree with her on that. And I think that if people are really complaining just about the fact that they're not skinny, that makes them not beautiful. Like I don't agree with that because I think you can be beautiful at any size. You really can. Anyway, I'm done listening to her. Oh, okay. So for those of you who are just listening, they're just comparing photo of Alessandra Ambrosio from 2014 to 2025. Yeah, she looks incredible. She's the same. She's like, I think in her 40s now.
Holding space.
Yeah, I agree. Insane. More Candace. Oh my God. Candace just looks so incredible. Again, back to my point about how like they don't always look like this year round. They still look really good, mind you. But there's also another thing to mention. Okay. If anyone is looking at this and feeling bad, not only did she really prep for this, okay, but they have self tanner on, okay, which hides a lot of flaws and it makes you look thinner in general. And it shows like every like, curve and like it makes your abs more visible. On top of that though, okay, they also have full body glam. Okay, so they put like foundation and body shimmer over their entire body, not just their face, okay? On top of that, okay, like Candace Swanepoel actually, she does not have boobs. You look at her pictures on her Instagram, she's just as tiny as I am, okay? They put bras on her and can put different inserts in it to make it look like she's a fuller chest. So there's that, right? And the lighting, okay? It's professional lighting. Lighting will make or break you, all right? So yeah, just remember all that. Okay, so not only did she work very hard for this, but it is all those other factors. Guarantee you take anyone, you put them in perfect lighting, full body glam, okay, and then you give them a stylist and makeup artist, you will also look really good.
Video of the Victoria's Secret stuff has gone too far. Not that I even care to watch the show. It's just all over everywhere. Half of you guys are not tall enough. You walk horribly. You just don't have a Victoria's Secret OG angel body. That's okay, but you're not a runway model. Like, it's tacky. It's just like, what is good? Like, everyone's trying so hard to include people. Stop. I'm sorry, the inclusivity of the Victoria's Secret.
Yeah, this seems to be a really common thing. I guess a lot of people are just not happy having the influencers and yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I think it cheapens their brand in a little bit having people who are not real models on the show because it doesn't make it as exclusive.
Fashion show. This year, I think it was 10 times better, but I think we're in a world where there's not true competition anymore. Everyone looked beautiful, but there was lacking energy. And I think once before the Victoria's Secret fashion show used to be something that women had to like fight for. You had to work for. Now they're just kind of like hand selecting either the same people every single year or like influencers or people that are already well known. It kind of gives the energy of a self-made billionaire versus somebody's whose dad made the company and then just hired them. Like they still might be really good and have the skill set, but it's just not the same energy. I didn't see anybody like strutting except for a couple people. And so even though the hair, the makeup, and the optics were better, it's still
Well, that cut out. But yeah, I kind of agree with her. I mean, yeah, like I said, it used to be the Super Bowl for women. And I do feel like the energy was just kind of off. And part of that is because you had a lot of girls up there who just were not models. I do think that for the most part, though, everyone did good. So I don't know. It's never going to be like the OG show. And I think that that is just what people need to understand. It's probably never gonna, we're never gonna have that era back again. But yeah, as far as like the nepo babies, like I remember when Kendall Jenner was in the show a few years back, right? And that was kind of caused a thing because I think she also took someone else's spot too, someone else who was supposed to be there who was an actual model. So that was interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it takes the exclusivity away from it because you don't actually have to be a supermodel now to be in that show. And so now it's kind of like, well, it doesn't really mean much now when someone says, "Oh, I modeled for Victoria's Secret." Back then, it was like, right? Today, it's just like, okay, well, yeah, because they kind of let anyone model now for them. Okay, so this is Ashley Graham.
American women are over the size. The stat is that 67% of American women are over the size 14. So I am so proud to be representing that 67% out there. Things are going to be bouncing. Things are going to be moving. There's going to be a little cellulite here and there. And you know what? I'm owning it. And I'm owning it for everybody that's watching. I put on my fuzzy socks. Okay. I have lidocaine for when I have to put the heels on. That's what you spray on your shoes. That's a pro tip. Or at the bottom of your feet. That's a pro tip for the shoes. And snacks galore. The stat is at 67.
Okay, so I included this because look, I love Ashley Graham. I follow her on Instagram. I think she is a supermodel. She's stunning. I mean, just look at her. Okay, I love her energy. I love who she is. However, I'm always so torn with this subject as far as like, okay, plus size models and being more inclusive of body types. I think it's good to be inclusive. I think it's good to be inclusive of different body types. However, I think that there is a line between being inclusive and, celebrating different body types, totally fine, and then glorifying obesity, right? Ashley Graham, like she's saying here, 67% of women are over the size 14. And she's almost saying that as if it's like a positive thing. I think what we need to be thinking of, actually, someone said it right here, is we should talk about why 67% of women in the US have a waist size of about 10 inches bigger than other countries. It should be accepted but not normalized. I think that she put it perfectly. Like, yeah, it should be accepted. I don't think that plus size people do not deserve to be celebrated or deemed worthy or beautiful. I don't know that it should be. There is a fine line. I don't know. By her being in the show, by her, saying, "Hey, it's okay to be bigger." Are you glorifying obesity? Are you, saying it's okay to be unhealthy? But it's interesting with Ashley Graham because I don't know what her size is. She's a heavier woman. Is she morbidly obese? No. She's also someone who can, sit there and say, "Oh, love your body and it's healthy to being big and blah blah blah." She's also someone, she's a model, so she's what, 5'9", 5'10". Okay, so a size 14 on someone who's 5'9", 5'10" is different than a size 14 on someone who is 5 feet. Okay, you're way more over obese. I always want to say over obese, guys. It's not a word. You're way more obese when you are 5 feet in a size 14 than 5'9", 5'10". Okay. Also, something to know, like Ashley Graham, look, she looks really amazing. She can be considered beautiful too, I think, because of the way her fat is distributed. Her face is very like thin, very chiseled. She's got curves in all the right places, right? Yeah, she looks good. Is she to the point of being unhealthily overweight? I don't know. I don't know what her stats are. Like, she looks good. But as people in the body positivity movement always want to say, "Oh, you can look good but not be healthy." That's very true. It goes both ways though. Okay, yeah, you can be skinny and not be healthy, but you can also be overweight, look good, and also not be healthy. I mean, look, in general, just being overweight, having too much excess body fat on your body is not good. Okay. Whether it's causing you troubles now or not, whether you eat healthy and work out. As far as her, maybe she's bordering on the edge because she does just look really good. She looks, fitter. Again, most women though are not that. Most women are not like big and healthy. They are big and unhealthy. Okay, they don't look like her. So I think that's something to point out. I don't know.
As a model, I have no problem with Quinn or Angel Reese walking the Victoria's Secret fashion show. But it's sad how people are only now realizing that since Quinn and Angel got casted for the show, oh, but they're influencers, they're not real models. But it's been like this for a long time. Nepo babies, singers and songwriters walking runway shows during Fashion Week. But yes, I do agree that it does take away from real models that do this as a full-time job. But it shouldn't take two beautiful Black queens to get casted for a show for y'all to realize that. I forgot to finish my video. But as I was saying, if I have to become an influencer to make it in this industry, I will do that. Because a lot of models are actually becoming influencers. And now that's how they're getting scouted. So I just gotta follow the trend.
Yeah, so that's interesting coming from, models' perspective. Yeah, it didn't really surprise me either that they have influencers and non-models in the show because they did that last year. I guess is she saying that she thinks it's only because there's two Black women where they're not. I don't know. I mean, I'm not online as much as I guess some people are. I think it was an issue last year too. I think they were talking about just not real models being in the show. Maybe it's because these two influencers are more popular, like the one is an athlete, that it's causing more controversy or people are talking about it. But I don't think that they were just talking about just those two women in general. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think that she's right. That is just where the industry going. It's been like that for a long time. I think it really kind of started with like Kendall Jenner, who, by the way, I think she looks really good now. She did not start out as a good model, in my opinion, but she, looks really good now. Surgery helps a lot with that. But I think, okay, Kendall Jenner, Bella Hadid, Gigi Hadid, they all work, okay? As opposed to someone who really could not ever make it as a model and they're only in the industry because of, who their parents are or whatever. But yeah, I think in general, that's just where everything is going. If you want a business, if you want to be a model and actress, you got to have a following now. It's kind of crazy how that's happened.
That really bothers me about the current state of the Victoria's Secret fashion show is they keep bringing back these models from the 2000s, and it bothers me because they act like they don't want to be there. And second of all, I know they're beautiful, but most of them are multi-millionaires now, or they married billionaires. We need to give those opportunities to current young women in the modeling industry. I think it's very unfair because you guys, I live in Los Angeles. I walk around all the time. I see some of the most stunning women at Erewhon or at house parties I go to. And I know they're broke and I know they need money. And it really bothers me. And I'm like, why aren't we giving these young women opportunities that work so hard in the current modeling industry? But no, they want to keep giving contracts and opportunities and checks to the same 20 people we've been seeing for the last 2 decades.
So that's an interesting take. I kind of get what she's saying. I mean, I think a lot of things have changed though. I think number one, like for sure back in the day, it was like if you were like over 30, okay, if you reached 30 as a model, oh, you were done, right? Like that was it. Your career was done, right? So I think that you did see more fresher faces because they always thought like, oh, people always want to see really young. And I think that just things have changed today. I also think the way that people take care of themselves has changed too. Different surgeries and procedures have changed that as well. But clearly, these women in their 30s, 40s, they're rocking it. They look amazing. They look incredible. So I think that's what is part of why they, are still like household names. And that is number two. Why they keep bringing them back is because they are household names. They do have followings. People love them. People have literally been asking to see them. But I do think that it is interesting that, yeah, I don't really know of too many fresh faces. Again, maybe because I'm not really in that industry anymore or really even read fashion magazines anymore. But are there any new like standout like supermodels now, right, that have come on the scene? She's right in that, yeah, I only really hear of like the OG supermodels or the influencers, right? The influencers or the nepo babies, the kids of famous models or actresses who are taking over the scene. Yeah, I do think in some way it is taking away from, legit models and actresses who starting from the ground up, right, and don't have the connections. They don't get that chance as often now because it's still being, we're still being bombarded with the OG people.
You want to know how I know that Victoria's Secret fashion show was a success? But the past couple weeks, I've been running a mile every day. Today I ran 3. Candace Swanepoel, yes, she reactivated me. You want to know how I know?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think that that is more of a healthier take on it. Like, I think so many women are watching that, and it's like, oh, we're all in the gym the next day, which I think is a good thing. Working out is good for you.
In the Victoria's Secret fashion show, who gives a shit? If the bitch is bad, the bitch is bad. What did you expect them to say? Like, if Victoria's Secret came to you and you were an influencer and they're like, hey, do you want to be in the fashion show? You sure as shit wouldn't say no. You'd say, yes, oh my God, thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you for even considering me. You wouldn't say, I humbly decline. I'm not a real model. I'm just a lonely influencer, right? And as for why Victoria's Secret's doing it, why does anybody do anything? For money. Yeah, because you're going to tap the fuck in. You are going to tune in. Whether you're preying on those girls' downfalls or not, you're going to watch that shit. And Gabriella Mora is going to look bad to the bone walking down that fucking runway. And so is Quinn and all the other influencers that I don't know of that are in it. Who cares? It's like giving jealous or something, honestly. Like, it's really not that big of a deal. As much as it's the Victoria's Secret fashion show, it's just the Victoria's Secret fashion show, right? Like, it's a big deal, but it's not like this isn't something super serious. God fucking damn it. Like,
Yeah, I mean, actually, she has. I mean, her take is so right and so accurate. I think it's like she said, like they've been doing this. This is not new. It's for money, of course. Like she said, whether you are, you're tuning in, whether you hate these girls or not, right? So it does the job. And yeah, from the influencer standpoint, of course, they're going to say yes. Why wouldn't you? They're going to pay you to go on the show, even if they don't pay you. Like it's good exposure, right? So for sure. I mean, it has nothing to do with these influencers. Like, yeah, I'd say yes too. So yeah, people do, I think, take things a little too seriously both ways. It is what it is. Like I said, I think we just have to realize, like, the OG fashion shows, it's never going to be quite the same. And that's okay. I mean, I think we still enjoyed looking at beautiful models and beautiful people. It's not that big a deal.
The Victoria's Secret fashion show yesterday proved one thing that I've known all along, and that's that you're never going to get rid of models. There's a lot of chatter on social media regarding the inclusivity of different types of models, athletes, influencers, urban plus size models in this year's lineup. A lot of people were criticizing it, saying, we don't want inclusivity. We want to see the fashion models of old. And a lot of people were celebrating seeing other types of bodies on that runway. This isn't to shade any other person that isn't your traditional model. This just goes to prove that models will always stand out. You could tell too, it's a really cool thing though, because as soon as a traditional Victoria's Secret fashion model, an original model, got onto stage, the walk, the confidence, the identity of that model was so different than your influencer, music artists, what have you. You guys, you're never going to get rid of models, okay? Like, it's absolutely an amazing thing to see other people being represented, but people are not resonating with it in the way that honestly I could have expected. And I say this because, like, one day I was in Sephora with my sisters, and they're not in the fashion industry. They have nothing to do with my world, right? They're not even on social media for the most part. Sephora has this campaign of like showing raw skin and it's not retouched. I was asking them, I was like, hey, what do you guys think of that photo, right? Because in front of the store, when you check out, they have like a big blow up photo of a campaign they did with showing raw skin, not retouched. What do you guys feel more drawn to? What do you feel represents you more? Seeing the unretouched skin or the photos from this makeup brand from Rihanna? What do you feel like you're drawn to the most and you would want to represent you as a woman? And you know what they said? And again, these are girls that are not in the industry. They have no association to the fashion world. They both pointed to the airbrushed, photoshopped images from Rihanna's makeup line. And they said that this is what they wish to look like. They don't want to go to a makeup store to look at skin that they don't want to have. They want to look at pictures of the skins of women that they wish they had. And what did this tell me? It tells me that as much as people complain about wanting to see inclusivity or natural, raw, real women or real models, no, you don't. Don't lie. You think you do, but you don't. I think we've gotten to a point in society too where we already know what's real and what's not. As long as we can accept, hey, Bella Hadid doesn't really have a whole natural body. Like, she didn't get that way on her own. She got a couple of procedures along the way, which is cool. She's still beautiful. Good for her. I think if we can get there as a society to just be accepting that, beauty is constructed, A lot of times, sometimes it's natural, but it doesn't have to be natural in order for it to be beautiful. And we also don't need to cater to everyone that isn't considered beautiful in order for people to feel beautiful. It's like we all go to Disneyland and we know that, that mascot of that one princess or that one animated character isn't real. Why is it okay when we can go to a Disneyland and accept that this is a fantasy that we're in? The whole point of it is the experience, it's the magic of it, is to like aspire.
Okay, well, my internet something spotty, it cut off, but yeah, I mean, basically, I agree with him. That was most of what he was trying to say. Um, yeah, I do think that the reality is, yes, there will always be models. I think that for sure you can tell the difference between the model and the influencer. I think that we are always going to aspire towards beauty. I think that it is important for people to be transparent about the editing they use, or be transparent about the procedures they use, because I can see how that could be toxic. Like now we have these AI models coming out, right? Where it's like we already, aspire. It's one thing to aspire to someone like a supermodel. It's a totally other thing to aspire to someone who didn't even get that way naturally, or like someone who's not even real. I don't know. And maybe I don't see it as toxic because I am someone who can decipher, right? And maybe because I was kind of part of the industry, it's like, I can tell you right now when someone is using a filter, or like I know everything that goes on behind the scenes in these photo shoots on these runways or whatever. It's the lighting and the makeup. When I tell you, like doing a photo shoot, I swear to you, it takes like sometimes an hour, 2 hours just getting the whole lighting set up. Okay. Makeup and hair, 1 hour to 2 hours. Okay. It's a whole process before you even take the photo. But that's what it is. That's why it looks so flawless, because they will make sure that you look flawless in the camera. Okay. And it's all about lighting, guys. Lighting will make or break you. Okay. Yes, you look flawless when you're in the camera. Okay, the actual modeling, that takes like, oh, click, click, click. Oh, stop. And they fix your makeup, fix your hair. Okay. Click, click, click. Okay, we got it. Next look, right? Back in hair and makeup. That's what it is. And so when you see these pictures, that took a lot of work to get there. Okay. It took a lot of work. On top of that, now we have the editing. So yeah, I think we need, there needs to be transparency about that. I think it's interesting because I think that we understand that, but we also don't at the same time. I don't know. I'm transparent. Like I post some shorts sometimes, and sometimes I do it like whenever I get the urge to like do a short. I swear I always look bad. I never have makeup on, and so I do it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I can't post that. So I put filters on. And then some of you are like, oh my god, Whitney, your skin looks so flawless. I'm like, it's kind of funny because like I feel like most people can tell that I have a filter on. Um, but I guess they can't. So anyway, I always tell them, if you comment something like that, I will let you know if I have a filter on, because I'm not gonna take credit for that. Like no one looks that flawless in real life. Like even right now, like I spent a lot of time on my makeup. I'm in good lighting. I definitely still don't look flawless, right? But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is I think there's nothing wrong with aspiring to beauty. I think that people are always going to do that. I don't think that you are ever going to stop people from wanting to be beautiful or from celebrating people who are beautiful. I think look, a lot of beauty is subjective for sure, but a lot of it's objective. Okay. There are just some things that we consider beautiful. I don't know if that's ever going to change. And this shouldn't make you feel bad about yourself. Everyone is beautiful in their own way. And I think there's nothing wrong with you wanting to lose weight, change your hair, makeup to fit in a little more at the beauty standard. Ultimately though, you need to remember that you have to have more self-worth than that you have to remember that you are not all your looks. Okay. That is where I think people get into trouble, is when they just base their entire self-worth off of their looks or their body. It's like, no, you have more than that. But also it's okay if you want to be beautiful or be considered beautiful. Totally understand that. But you also have to just accept what you have. Okay, what you can't change. I've said that many times in my videos. Like I've got my loose skin and my stretch marks, right? I've just accepted that. Okay. I've accepted that I will always have that part of me. Doesn't mean that I don't want to be my best. Doesn't mean that I can't still look really good. I'm going for my best. I'm not going for perfection. Okay. Anyway, that's, I guess, all I have for this video. This has been a long one. I really interested to see your thoughts below. I know some of you already commented on my post I made about the Victoria's Secret show. I'm curious if any more of you watched it. Yeah, let me know. And of course, if you are new here and this is your first time watching me, you like this content, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more content like this. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time.